Okay, welcome to step 6, which is taking it further. I'm really proud of you for making it this far. And in this step, we're going to take your project to the next level by adding in some more advanced features and elements. And the first thing we're going to do is work on making your website more accessible. And by making your website more accessible, I mean making it accessible to a wider audience, a wider range of users, specifically those with disabilities. The organization that's responsible for HTML and CSS and a lot of other languages is called the W3C, the World Wide Web Consortium. So I didn't mention this earlier, but HTML and CSS and the other programming languages that you may be familiar with, all of these are living, breathing languages, meaning that they continue to be developed, they continue to have changes made to them, and every single time there's updates or a major set of updates, you get a new version of the language. And right now we're at HTML5 and CSS3, so those are the versions, and the W3C has an initiative called the Web Accessibility Initiative, which has a bunch of guidance on how web designers and programmers can make their websites and programs accessible to people with disabilities. So if you are interested, and you should be, because we want as many people as possible to be able to access our work, and embedding accessibility into your project just guarantees that your website's accessible to a wider range of users. So back in our projects, we are going to make some edits and we're going to make our websites more accessible by adding an additional attribute to our image tags. And that attribute is going to be the alt attribute, which stands for alternate. And what the alt attribute will do is basically it will hold text that describes the image. So my image, remember, this was a image of a peanut butter and jelly smoothie. So I'm just going to put that exactly inside of my alt attribute. So I will just write PB and J smoothie. So you may look at your project and say, well, I don't see that text, right? All I see is the picture. There's no text. The way that this alt text works is, say that you have a user who's blind, for instance, visiting your webpage. They may be using a device called a screen reader that would be reading text from the internet or the web, in this case, a web page, to them. And when that screen reader gets to the image tag, it would look for the alt attribute and read that text instead. So this is a great and just easy way, so how easy that was, to make your websites more accessible. So if you have multiple images on your webpage, take a moment to add some alt text to your image tags. And remember, all you need to do that is just alt and then put a little description of the image in there. How would you describe the image if you couldn't see it or it wasn't available to make the user understand what's there? Okay, so next thing we're going to add to our projects is a YouTube video. YouTube videos are a fun way to make your websites more interactive, and adding videos to your webpage is super easy. First thing you're going to want to do is navigate to your favorite YouTube video for this topic, okay? If you don't have a YouTube video in mind, just search one up. This is one of my favorite cooking tutorial channels on YouTube called Tasty, and they have a 12 healthy smoothies video, which I'm going to embed and show you how to put into a web page. So very easy. Once you get to the video, you're just going to go down here to the bottom and select share. And share gives you a wide range of options to share on social media platforms, but the first option is the one we want, which is embed. So this one gives you the code that you need, and all you need to literally do is just select copy to copy the code. And over in your website project, I'm going to put this right under the image. You are just going to paste that in. So once you paste it, Control V, or just right click and paste, you should be able to see the video in your web page, and you can actually play it. Let me open this up in a new window. I'm going to refresh my old version here, and you'll see that you can even play it. So I can play the video here, and you can pause it, you can adjust the volume. So it's just as if you were watching on YouTube, and even gives you options for other videos afterwards. So super cool, super easy. Take a moment, find a video, get the embed code, and get it in your project. Remember, if you don't want it up against the image, I did teach you the break tag, so you can always add that in if you want to break it to the next line. And remember, that's a one-sided tag, so just close it. Okay, so your final result should be like this, but feel free to place your video wherever you want to. This is your project, so please make it your own and have fun. Okay, so last advanced feature that we're going to work on is adding some fancy fonts to our project. So right now, our body font family is set to Helvetica, Arial, and Sans Serif. And I'm not mad at Helvetica. I love it. It's a classic font and it looks great. But if you want to do something more interesting or just add additional options that are fonts outside of what you have installed on your computer or just the basic fonts, you can do so using Google Fonts. So over at fonts.google.com, you will find a very large free library of fonts that are available for you to use in your projects. And what's nice about Google Fonts is it's organized by different categories of fonts, which is something I really love. You can search by serif fonts if that's what you want. Serif fonts are fonts that have little hooks at the end. Notice these letters have these little dashes coming out of them, and generally, serif fonts are reserved for text like newspapers, books, textbooks, anything that has a lot of stuff that you're reading. Serif fonts tend to work best for that. Okay, then you have sans serif fonts. These are fonts that don't have the hooks on the end. Sans is Latin for without. And these are generally reserved for things like headings, titles, large text. So something that you might see a sans serif font on is like a billboard, for example. Okay, the next category, my favorite, display and handwriting. These are more so like cursive fonts, and I like these fonts because they tend to be a little bit more organic and they mimic handwriting, so they just have a fun feeling to them. And then finally, you have the monospace category, and monospace fonts are fonts that take up the same amount of space vertically as they do horizontally, so they are kind of like geometrically designed. Okay, so lots of amazing options. Take a moment, find a font that you might want to put in your project, and then I'll show you how to embed it in. So I already know what I'm going to use in my project. I have this on my YouTube banner. I just really love it. It's fun, it's whimsical, and I think it goes great with this PB&J smoothie title. So to use a font, you're just going to add it, and Google's going to add it down here at the bottom in what I like to call like a little cart. And just like the YouTube video, super easy to embed this. You're going to grab this link text or link tag, and you're going to go over to your webpage. And on the homepage, at the top, inside of the head of your webpage, you are going to paste the link tag. So the head holds the kind of behind the scenes information. Most importantly, it holds our link tags that link our style sheet, and in this case, the font family that we want to use. Okay, of course, you can use something totally different. I'm just experimenting and showing you what I'm using. All right, now that's only part one. You have to tell the browser what tag or element you're going to apply this font to. So Google Fonts gives you an example here of CSS. So over in my style sheet, I'm going to add this to my H1 tag. So I'm going to use the font family property, and I'm going to set it to Indie Flower. Now, as a backup, I'll just use cursive. That is how it was modeled, so that's what I'm going to go with. And there you go. You can see my Indie Flower font has applied. If your font name has more than 2 words in it, it needs to be enclosed in single quotations so that the browser doesn't think it's 2 separate fonts. Google should give that to you automatically, but just so you know what those single quotations are there for. And maybe I also want to apply this to my H2 tags so they kind of have like this nice cohesive look throughout the web page. All right, beautiful. Now this looks good, but now my Helvetica font isn't really going that well with this Indie Flower. So another great thing about Google Fonts is, in addition to giving you the fonts for free, which is amazing, they also have a set of suggestions at the bottom for fonts that would go well with the font you chose. So this could be something that us more design challenged people may struggle with. So Google makes it easy by just giving you a wide range of options. So according to them, these are the fonts that go well with Indie Flower. And I happen to think Railway. I love this combination. So I'm going to add that down here and use that in my project. So again, you're just going to copy that link tag, and put it into the head of the web page. And then over in the CSS, you want to make sure that you use it. Okay, so Railway is the font I want here. And since it's already linked inside of my HTML, I can use it here in my CSS. And now this, ladies and gentlemen, ends up being the final result of my tutorial project. You should have a heading, an overview, a list of materials, or in my case, ingredients, the steps to complete your tutorial, a link to some additional resources, and our beautiful image and video. This is awesome. If you made it this far, very nice work. Please do not forget to share your work with me. I'm going to link my project down below. And in the next and final video, I'm going to give you some information on how you can tag Girls Who Code and get your page featured. Nice job, everyone.